Welcome to part 2 of my $6 Million Man action figure restoration. In part 1 I showed you the figure I'd bought that I'm going to restore. Now we're going to actually get started on some of the restoration process. First up, this is the figure I bought. As you can see, it's not actually in amazing condition, and after sort of studying it a bit and looking at it, I realised that this figure probably there isn't enough on it that's actually worth saving. The good thing about this figure is that it does come with both of the bionic modules in the arm, and it seems that these are fairly hard to come by, so that's quite a good thing. The rest of it though is pretty broken. The fact he's got one broken leg is a problem. Also, that both the arm shoulder joints are in pretty bad shape. So what I've decided to do is I actually picked up another couple of busted $6 Million Men dolls, which I'll show you here. First up we have well, it's the exact same doll, but this one is in much better condition. Still no clothes on it, which is a bit of a problem, but both of his shoulder joints are in pretty good condition, and he also has a working bionic arm. A lot of people think when you pick up a $6 Million Man doll that the bionic part, the sort of push button on the back, is actually broken, and that's because they don't know how to use them properly. To activate the sort of lifting action, you have to turn his head fully to the right until it clicks, and then you can pump the button on the back and his arm will raise. You can see this guy is doing here. A lot of people don't turn the head far enough to the right, or don't even know to turn the head to the right, and so think that this action is broken. It's not, it's just that it's a very strange mechanism, and then to unlock it you have to turn it to the left again, and then this will click. If you don't unlock it fully, that's how you end up breaking it. So right, first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the arm off this guy and remove all the sticky residue that's left from the decayed bionic arm so that we can get out the two modules. So let's go ahead and do that. So here we have the arm that I'm going to get this, the skin sort of had degraded over time and it turns into a bit of a sticky mess. As you can see here, it's really sticky and rubbery. Luckily this arm is broken, so it's very easy just to remove that from him. The top section, actually I can just sort of roll away the sticky residue, and that bionic element should just pop out. There we go. The one down here, I'm hoping I should just be able to roll this skin back. It is very, very sticky. It's really quite horrid to deal with, but it's coming off reasonably well, and it's actually it's pretty hard going, but there we go. I can now get to the bit that I want, which is the second bit of bionics there. Now this arm probably is savable, so I'm actually going to clean up the rest of this. I'm just going to try and roll back as much of this skin as possible, and I'm going to use some lighter fluid to clean off, here we have some lighter fluid, to clean off any of the residue that is left. So now I've got most of the old arm skin removed. I'll just, as I say, use a bit of lighter fluid, put some on a kitchen towel like so, and I'm going to use this to clean off the remains of this sticky goo. It should just dissolve a little bit using the lighter fluid and come off quite cleanly. Might need a little bit of scratching here and there with a nail, but hopefully this will just get rid of the remains. And so here we have the arm now that I've cleaned off all of the sort of residue from the sort of decayed arm. As you can see, the arm still actually looks in pretty reasonable condition. The top joint is broken, but I reckon there's probably enough there that it will actually hold in place. While I've got the lighter fluid out, I'm actually going to use it to clean the figure that I am going to restore fully. Now, as you can see, there's a few marks on the back, and if I just use again a bit of kitchen towel with some lighter fluid on it, most of these marks should just rub away. So if I just show you that here, if I rub gently, these are just bits of sort of paint or where things have rubbed against the plastic. There you go, and you can see it's immediately gone. So I'm just going to clean over this body and remove any of those sort of small marks and get it looking as clean as I possibly can. Right, so now in front of me we have two $6 Million Men dolls. It's getting a bit crazy here. I had more stuff turn up today that I've won off eBay. This is the one that I really am going to restore, but the one on the right, there was enough bits there that I might as well restore two while I'm doing it. Sometimes it's, you know, if you're buying junked figures off eBay, you might as well restore a couple while you're at it. This one, you can see I've added the arm that I took the broken and decayed skin off. The joint at the top, although it is broken, it does hold in place reasonably well, and by the time I put a replacement arm skin on here, I think this should do the job anyway, and you won't be able to see the fact that's broken, and by the time he's got his clothes on, should look pretty nice. So from the busted arm, I did manage to save the 2 bionic elements, which is great. So I can now slot these in to the one that I'm fully going to restore, which is this guy here. I'm never quite sure which way around these bits go, but I assume there's a happy way and it will just slot in. I think that may be it. There you go, that's slotted in quite nicely now. Likewise for the front one, that's a little bit easier because it's more obvious which way around it goes. So there we go, we now have replaced the bionic elements in his arm. So next up we need to replace the arm skin. For the arm skin, I've been searching around, and on eBay I found a guy selling what he called were replacement skins. If I just tip out the bag of bits I got from him today, and you can see that it is in fact a sort of thin rubberized tube with one end covered over in a dome, although some of the pieces don't actually have the end bit on, they're just sort of the single bits of tubing, and this does look like it should work quite nicely. It looks like it's could be used for medical purposes, although I'm not really sure, but I'd be interested if any of my subscribers actually knew what this is and could let me know. It feels a little bit like the original sort of arm skin. It's quite stretchy and should roll back quite nicely. The only slight problem I can see is that it's very light in colour. The Steve Austin doll has got quite a suntan, and this skin tone is a little bit on the light side, but for the moment I think it will have to do. So let's go ahead and see if we can fit this and see what it looks like. So here we have an arm removed from the doll. This is the broken one. I'm actually not going to remove the arm on my good figure because as you can see, there are stress marks already in the joints here and sort of on the back, and I think if I was to remove the arm a couple of times to do this, that joint would actually break. The plastic on the shoulders has gone very brittle in the 40 years that this doll has been out on the market, and I want to do as little damage to it as I possibly can. So I'll show you on this arm here what I'm going to do. I've already done a little test. So here was the test that I did with the tube. I cut the plastic to the correct length, so sort of measuring from his wrist up to his shoulder, and then in the rounded bit at the top of his where his sort of shoulder joint should be, I've cut a small little circle. So let's go ahead and do that again on a new one. So I'm just going to again carefully measure how tall I reckon his arm is, like so, and then I'm going to snip the end of this off straight. Let me just do that so you can see. So now this piece of tubing should be exactly the right length, which it looks like it is, like so. So now what I need to do is cut, as you can see I did on this one, a very small circle out roughly where the joint is going to be. And this circle can be pretty small actually. The one I did there was possibly a little bit too large. So I'm just going to carefully, like so. So there you go, that's it. That's about as big as it needs to be. Maybe actually just make that slightly bigger, because you have to squeeze the entire arm through that hole. Takes a bit of practice. There we go. Right, next step. What we've got to do is thread this arm through that hole there. So what you want to do is line up the rubber so that the hole is where you want the joint to be, and then push his hand in and just start threading this plastic through. This did take me about 20 minutes the first time I did it, so you've got to be patient and just slowly ease this skin up, and it will work its way all the way to the top. And there you can see we've got the skin all the way over his hand, and now we can start rolling it up the arm. And here we are about 5 minutes in. It's a really slow process. I can't work out work out a better way to do this. You just have to keep sort of rolling it and pulling it. It helps if your fingers are a little bit damp. Mine are particularly dry and I can't get to get my fingers to grip on it, but it does work. You just have to slowly sort of keep prising it up, and the skin will move up. As you can see, the first part of the arm is looking pretty good now. I just keep sliding this skin further and further up, and it will go in the end. It's just a bit of a slow process. Oh, there we go. I think I'm over the worst of it now. Just unroll those bits. There we go. Almost got it to the top. So it looks like I just need to roll the skin up a little bit more and it will reach the top of that shoulder joint. And so here we have the two arms with the new skin in place. As you can see, it is quite a lot lighter than the sort of plastic flesh tone that's used on Steve Austin's body, but the actual material is pretty good. It's a shame it's not dark enough. I'll see if I can, I'm going to ask around, see if I can find anyone who can actually tell me what this material is, and I'll see if I can get a darker version of it. For the moment though, this will do. On my Steve Austin here, you can see that I can actually roll up the skin like you would on the original toy and get to the bionic elements. There's the first one. If I roll it up a bit more, let's just get it past his elbow joint. And there we go, all the way up to his bicep bionic module. So it does work pretty nicely. It's not the best replacement, but it will do for the moment. As I say, if I can find someone who can give me a bit more info on actually what this rubber is, I will swap it out for something with a darker sort of flesh tone. But that's not bad for the first part of this job. So for the next part of this restoration, I'm going to deal with his clothes. Currently I only have the top for Steve Austin. As you can see here, I have the sort of red jumpsuit top. This I picked up with it in a bulk lot of stuff. It's actually in reasonable condition. It has a few sort of minor little wears on it, but nothing too bad. And all the stitching is in pretty good condition, so I don't need to do much to it. The only problem is it's missing its insignia. I also have another one here which is suffering from the same problem. Reasonable condition top, no marks in it, a slight tear on the back, but there's not a great deal I could do about that. I might ask Mrs. Toypoloi just to neatly sew that up a bit, but it is missing the insignia here. So I've been asking around trying to find out how big this Lego was. No one's actually responded to me, so I am going to guess that it's about 2 centimeters across, and I'm going to go and recreate that in Photoshop. I found some scans of other bits of $6 Million Man artwork, so I'm going to use that as a basis and recreate this, and then we can print it out on some fabric transfer stuff that I already have in stock. So this is what I've come up with. It's about 2 centimeters across, which I think from looking at the size of his jumper looks like it should be about the right size. So what I've done is I've printed a whole load of them on. This is on iron-on transfer paper that you can use to print on t-shirts. You have to remember to print it back to front. As you can see here, it looks like it's the wrong way around, but that's the correct way to do it, because you iron it face down onto the fabric. So I've done a few little tests. I've got a couple of bits of fabric here from Mrs. Toypoloi. She's kindly given me some different sort of grades of cotton. As you can see here, this is printed out quite nicely. This is a slightly thinner cotton. Then I have a slightly sort of rougher, more coarse cotton. I think this is actually the one I'm going to go for because it's a little bit thicker and the sort of detail in the print looks a little bit more like the sort of 1970s quality that I would imagine. So I printed out a few here, and I'm now going to cut these out and then using some fabric glue I will glue these back onto the top. So here we have the original top. I put a piece of paper inside it because I'm going to glue onto the fabric, and I don't want the glue to go through onto the back of his outfit, so the paper should stop that. And I have here some fabric glue from Mrs. Toypoloi. She says this is used for sticking the handles on purses and things like that, so it's quite a strong glue. So all I need to do is put a very small amount of this glue onto the logo. I'm just going to carefully spread it around right up to the edge. It's a fairly slow drying glue, so there's no real rush to do this. I don't want to get too close to the edge because I don't want the glue to smear out sort of either side of the badge, so just a small amount like that should do it nicely. And if I take the badge ever so carefully, like so. Luckily on this outfit there's a slight mark where the original badge was, so I can see exactly where to position the logo. I'm just going to carefully push that down, not too hard because I don't want to push the glue through too much, and we'll give that half an hour to set. And so here we have the finished tops. As you can see, the logo is now nice and firmly glued on there. It looks pretty good. It's a pretty good recreation of what was originally on this top as far as I can see, and does finish them off nicely. So let's go ahead and put these tops on the figures. So that's the end of part 2 of my $6 Million Man restoration project. As you can see now I have 2 figures, both have replacement bionic skin. I've replaced the logo on the top jacket, and it's ready for the next stage. Currently I'm bidding on a few things on eBay to get some trousers. I have an idea for what I can use to make replacement socks, and in the next video I'll also deal with the paint rubs and paint loss on the hair and head and see what we can do to get that looking better. If you'd like to help out on this project and have some spare clothing, shoes, trousers, anything like that for the $6 Million Man, they would be greatly appreciated. So please get in touch if you'd like to donate and help me with this project. So subscribe to my channel to keep up with all the updates and new videos, and thanks for watching.